Howdy folks, Lubos here. This is the first in a series of 5 videos which highlight a trip I took in the summer of 2023 when I spent a month and a half in Europe. I started with a visit to my native Slovakia, where I visited my family, went to a conference, went to see an apartment. And then I traveled to Bulgaria, where I met my mom, and then I took her on a cruise out of Istanbul. And then after getting back to Istanbul, I was met by my wife Sandra, and we did some more sightseeing, including our final stop in Rome. So I'll be posting those videos over the next couple of days, so please come back to check them out. So this was my first time to Slovakia since before COVID, and I was quite excited to see, what is new. Now you can see here I went for a run. I like to do this when I'm traveling to a new place. It's kind of a good way to cover a lot of distance. And the one thing I was the most excited about was seeing this new skyscraper that was built during COVID called Eurovea Tower, as you can see right here. This is a residential building, so no offices, it's all apartments, which I think is quite amazing actually, that you have such a big building for residences. So next I ran to the old town, and something you might find peculiar is that it looks completely deserted. The reason for this is that I shot this video at around 5 o'clock in the morning. The sun rises very, very early in Slovakia in the summer. Which also means that popular highlights like this statue of Chumil, which normally would have a lot of people around it taking photos, is completely empty. It's basically just for you to take photos of it. From Old Town I ran to the castle, but I was hoping to get inside and take some pictures there, but unfortunately the gates do not open until 8 o'clock in the morning. So unfortunately I wasn't actually able to get inside. But at least I got some really nice view from the hilltop. Next I found this really awesome alleyway that took me down the staircase to the river Danube, where I managed to find a shop that was open where I was able to get some water and some kind of a snack, because I was getting really dehydrated and really kind of out of energy by now. I didn't really have enough food with me on this run. Then ran across the bridge to the Petržalka side. And then I took the bike path back to my sister's apartment. Next day my father came, and we went on a cruise on the river. And it was kind of funny here is that the trip I was going to go on was sold out because it was bought out by the city of Bratislava for the International Children's Day. So they were giving out free tickets to families with kids. Well, my father had the idea that, wait a minute, I'm also a child. And so we're actually able to get on board also for free. So then we did a little bit more walking around Bratislava just to see what's out here. And then later we went to one of the shopping malls where my niece was performing. My niece is a part of a dance troupe, and for this Children's Day they had a performance in this little plaza. We also went to see my sister's new house that was being constructed. Now I don't have any video of the house itself, but I saw these beautiful poppy flowers just outside of it. And then we drove to the town of Pieštany. This is a historical spa town. It's located about 1 hour north of Bratislava, and it's famous for its mineral waters. So this is where I bought an apartment, and I'll have a whole video on this, but essentially you can see that this is the state that the apartment is delivered to you. So you are fully responsible to actually finish all the interior. Now it's a very peaceful place that's located right on the river and on the lake, and there is a lot of water activities, and also in the city itself you have a lot of restaurants and bars. Now the main highlight is this mud that is supposed to have healing properties. So we went to one of the bath houses. So you start off in the mud room, the mud pool, and then you go to the clear water, the mirror pool, and you can also drink the water that comes out from the ground. So it's there you have all these little faucets around town where you can refill water bottles. The water comes out hot, and it also smells really bad. So it has this very kind of strong sulfuric smell, but it's supposed to be good for you. That's what people say. We also have nice resorts. This is the Thermia Palace. So we had some coffee and some drinks in this little bar. These bathhouses are located on this what's called a spa island. So it's a very kind of peaceful and relaxing place. Now, what happened kind of like full coincidence that we actually came here during the opening weekend. It's like a big festival for the start of a new season. And so for this event, they had a lot of activities going on, still different concerts, including this is by the band Vidiek, which is a very popular band. They also had different food vendors where you can buy things like langosh. Langosh is a piece of fried dough that you top with a garlic spread and some sour cream and some cheese, and it's really delicious. Langosh, too much. So next morning I went for a run. And a really big highlight for me here was seeing all these poplar trees that were shedding their flowers. So it kind of looks like there's snow on the ground, but this is not snow. These are just the flowers that fell from the trees. As you can see, it's a very peaceful place. This is the reservoir for the mud. This is the back part of the Termia Palace. There's also a whole aviary on the island where the highlights are the peacocks, and you can hear them all night long when you actually stay on the island. Now for the opening weekend, there were a lot of activities going on. So there were some singing, there was some poetry reading, and there was also a parade that highlighted many different kinds of traditional folk dresses.
To hniezdo uviel Stvoriteľ a sám aj určil komu. Koho tam pozve prebývať do človečieho domu. Kto si bude smieť odomknúť i zamknúť jeho.
This is another video of the Termia Palace Hotel. This is actually where I stayed with Sandra when I returned back the following year. And we also went to see the Alphonse Mucha exhibit. And then later, my father took me to one of the Slovak traditional restaurants called a Koliba, which is where you can try typical Slovak food, including our national dish of brinzové halušky, which are potato dumplings in a feta-like sheep cheese called brinza and topped with bacon. And then next we drove to my hometown of Banská Bystrica. So we just walked around the main square for a little bit. And then we headed to the shopping mall called Europa, which is where they happen to be having a expo for the Banská Bystrica Marathon. So those of you who know me know that I'm a runner. I like running marathons. And it just happened again by a pure coincidence that we are here during the marathon weekend. We then also traveled to see this house that has been in my family for maybe some 200 years, and my father thought about restoring it, but unfortunately it was structurally unsound, so we actually had to be torn down. And then on the way back we got to see the marathon. So the interesting thing about this race is that it's an evening race. It starts at 6 p.m. We went to see this bar that my father used to own, that he finally sold after many, many years. And then it was time for me to head back to Bratislava, where I spent a little bit more time with my nephew and my niece. And you can kind of see how, life in Slovakia is quite peaceful, right? It's very kind of communal. There's a lot of events going on for the community. And it's kind of nice how everybody gets together and just people kind of hang out. It's something actually I really miss. Anyway, so that's it. And then next morning I took a cab to the airport where I hopped on a Ryanair flight to Burgas to see my mom, and that's where the second part of this adventure began. So come back for that video. Till then, cheers.